Then and now, we got the crown when we rock the town. Hot sound keep us breaking ground while we chillin' lounge. 3 generations, black nerd soldiers, podcast snipers trying to pop culture. Allegedly, haters trying to talk, but a pedigree in rare form.
Hello, everybody.
You're listening to the Then and Now podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Then and Now podcast. I'm your co-host, Captain Diesel, and I'm joined with my brothers, Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, and Lelouch Fee, the Big Black Muffin, a.k.a. the Kratos of gaming. How y'all doing, my brothers?
We're not keeping any of those, and also shout out to Pinky, who does the voice note for the Then and Now podcast. She just got her house today, so kudos to her.
Black wealth, man. Black equity.
We're not keeping the God of War gaming.
Nope, just scrap.
He don't got a choice.
No, I mean Ryan Hurst is Kratos now, so I can't be the Kratos.
Yeah, but not of gaming. He's like
Kratos. Gaming like that.
I mean, he was Thor. He was Thor in the games, and now he's Kratos in the live action that's coming out on Prime Video. So
I mean,
you're that nigga though.
Man. You outvoted 2-1.
Black man superiority over Kratos anyway. It's 2-1 to the Kratoses.
2-1.
2 niggas to the 1 white man.
Yeah, with Brian Hurst.
Yeah, T.C. Kirkland and Christopher Judge.
Well, that's right. They did.
Yeah,
he was voiced. Yeah, Kratos.
Mm-hmm. T.C. Carson.
I said Kirkland and not Jesus Christ. All right, y'all. Today we have 3 robust topics like the norm. Today, to start with, there's a very interesting one that I came across my timeline, and I'm trying to be more intentional about like looking at things on the timeline anyway, just because even for my own content, I'm trying to be more commentary based, because apparently that shit does numbers, because I had 2 bangers off last week that I wish I was making money on. Whew, I'd make IDs. Like I was imagining them numbers. I'm like, damn, bro, I'd have at least a smooth couple $100 off these videos, bro. That shit hurt. But anyway, let's go ahead. I have a video here that's it's about a minute long. It's going to explain the entire situation, because it'll be more concise than I can be.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck took a play out of Taylor Swift's book for their upcoming movie on Netflix, The Rip. Let's get into it. This is a first of its kind deal for any movie where every employee, there's 1,200 employees working on this film behind the scenes. If the movie performs well, they get performance bonuses. And as the performance of the movie continues to increase, they get better bonuses. Ben Affleck spoke to Variety yesterday and said that people deserve to be being paid decent. And ultimately, this is the first of its kind for a bonus structure for any movie ever. And he feels honored to have put this together. Most streaming projects like this are just paid a flat fee up front for working the movie. Matt and Ben said that they are ditching the old model and making sure that the people behind the scenes are getting compensated fairly as well. Taylor Swift let the world know what she...
Okay, we can stop it there. I don't need to hear any more about Taylor Swift. Again, shout out to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It seems like whenever they work together on a film, they usually they do something unique. Like they did Good Will Hunting together, right? That was their first thing. Yeah, the first major thing. So they're usually pretty good. I wanted to bring this up because I think we've had a lot of conversation on the pod around old Hollywood and how a lot of different ways they define success and different ways they go about things is very outdated and sometimes predatory. And I never knew that this was never done. I knew that for the most part, most films operated like my homegirl with the locks described there, that usually crews get paid a flat fee up front. You get paid for your time and then that's it. And until this came about, it never occurred to me that this was never a thing, because you would imagine that if a movie were to be extremely successful and break box office numbers, that crew would be able to get some kind of a kickback from that. Which, again, up until this point, the fact that wasn't a thing shows a little bit of the greed there, in my personal opinion, because if you made it something as far as a piece of art that performed, like I'm imagining like me working on the Sinners crew, right? A movie that broke box office records. Now I'm already going to get a certain level of cachet and more work based off of my work under that film. Obviously, like I think one of the women that did the practical effects for that did like a Drewski skit not too long ago that went fucking viral, where he like turned into a white man, things like that. So the more you work on films that go crazy, you get more either movie jobs or just random jobs like that. So the idea that those people that are talented, put in all that work on the set, are now getting equity essentially in these films, it's an amazing thing to see. And I think this is definitely the Pandora's box in regards to how that stuff's going to go going forward. If the people that are in charge of making it have pull and care about their crew, they'll probably look to try to get this kind of a deal. And then also, as much as I don't want to give Netflix a props, props on them for actually agreeing to this deal, because they could have been very easily, very much so, like staunchly against it, and probably could have got away with not doing it at all, just because they have a lot of leverage and all that stuff goes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have a lot of pull, and it is a Netflix movie. I'm guessing it's going to be released in theaters as well, maybe for a short run, because I'm not sure how they would. Pardon me. I'm not sure how they would quantify the success or the actual financial return on a streaming movie necessarily. Because if you have Netflix, you're not paying for it. It's just part of your plan already.
I think they judge it off of like clicks or off of viewership time, like watch it. I think they do it kind of similar to, because now they have ads on Netflix, they kind of do it similar to YouTube, where you have like ad hours. Nigga, when did you get in here? My bad. My dog came in here. He's like growling. What the fuck is that growling? Go in the living room. Go. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, I respect them for making the attempt. I'm curious to know what the splits on that are gonna be. Just because, I mean, splitting that cost 1,200 people, and we know, like, I mean, the people that put money into like actually making this film a film are probably gonna want their return relatively early too. I mean, understandably so. If you invest, $60 million into a project, you're going to want your money back. Not the exact numbers. I haven't looked up that, but just me throwing that out there. But
right.
I mean, you talk about, like, not knowing that the cast, I mean, the staff doesn't get paid. I mean, sometimes even the cast doesn't. Like, I mean, you actually have to like negotiate in your contract to get like royalties from projects that you're involved in, even if you're the star of the movie, even if it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
If you don't make that statement within your contract, you're not getting any of that. You get your whatever you get paid up front, and it helps you get more roles if it's successful. But it is what it is there.
Yeah, I mean,
the actors themselves. Yeah, I don't stress too much on, because usually they're getting, like, depending on the film and the level of it, they're probably getting like in the millions possibly, or if it's a smaller film, even then they're probably getting the bigger bulk of what, like, the hierarchy of people that are getting paid. They're usually going to get the most depending on the star power. If it's like a newer actor, for sure, yeah, then we're talking about them getting less, and even then, I think they probably get paid more than like makeup and hair would did.
Oh, yeah. So they have above the line and below the line. So above the line is people that, of course, are on screen and are bigger names. They get paid, and the directors or what have you, the producers. Pretty much all the people at the beginning of the movie, you see their names in front of the actual movie in the credits. That's the above the line, right? And then you have the below the line. He said makeup and their hair crew, gaffers,
special effects,
lighting, special effects, all kinds of stuntmen. They get paid, obviously, a lot less. One thing too, of course, is points. Of course, y'all have heard about Robert Downey Jr., how he got paid all kinds of boatloads of money because he gets points as far as the actual return on the Marvel movies themselves. So his paycheck may be only couple $1 million, but if he's getting a percentage of the actual box office off of that, he's getting paid. Back in the day for Batman #1, was it 1988, 89? 89, I think it was 89, right? That movie with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was by far the biggest actor in that film, and he had crazy points on that movie. And that movie was in theaters for like almost 11 months, whatever it was, something crazy. So he got paid considerably well on the back end of that movie. But that's something that only happens with actors and directors sometimes too, like James Cameron or whatnot. That never happens with crew. It does not happen with crew at all. Crew are just like considered expendable. Maybe they're not.
Maybe you'll know the answer to this question. Are crew members part of SAG in regards to the union?
They're not. So SAG is Screen Actors Guild, but crew members,
I didn't know they were part of that.
They do have they have their own unions. They do have if you're not all of them are in a union, but they do have their own unions for different types of jobs.
I'm kind of, again, I need to know more about the inner workings of it, obviously. But like as a union, I'm surprised this isn't something that's been like lobbied for a lot sooner in regards to them getting equity rights in certain films. Because you're working crazy hours, and
they have been. That's why there's so many strikes. Yeah, they have. They're always that's the reason why you see so many strikes. Yeah, they're always fighting for more money and stuff like that, and more rights and stuff. Yeah.
It's in this crazy look at, like, because to Otis's point, like when you're looking at the return on these films, especially how old Hollywood dictated a successful movie being like triple the budget. If the movie is making a profit of, like, say, like $100 million on a budget of like 60, 70, something like that, like you're making a profit, taking 1 million out of that and breaking that up against a crew of what, Well, they said like 1,200 people in that one.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Giving everybody like an extra like couple thousand, like 3, 4, like something like that. Like, I don't think that's unreasonable. When a budget that massive, like I'm not saying everybody's to get like $1 million per their job there, but if you give people like a 5 to 10K bonus, and it's also like not every time it's like coming in as the movie's progressing and as it's being more successful, it just seems reasonable.
Divide $1 million by 1,200.
But yeah. Obviously, it goes up.
Yeah,
That would mean much, but also it said that's another thing too. It said 1,200 for that movie Rip. That's like this. I mean, I haven't seen it obviously, but 1,200 crew members seems like a lot of people for that movie. Like, I'm not even sure how many people on Avatar.
It's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and all of a sudden like Tiana Taylor's in this. So you got like 3 pretty big actors. One coming off of a Golden Globes award in Tiana Taylor.
And then Stephen
one of the bigger movies of last year. So yeah, I'm like
big name too.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so it's for the most part, it seems like it's gonna garner a bigger budget from Netflix in them producing this. So I'm not too surprised.
I'm sure, like, I mean, if there's special effects and stuff like that going in the movie, I mean, the entire teams that are a part of that, like, that's usually like a large crew to get those done and done well. So the names can stack up.
I guess so. I mean, because thinking about with obviously with Stranger Things season 5, right? That it was like, I forgot how many millions of dollars it was per episode, and that was 9 episodes or 10 episodes. I can't remember now. There was several
9,
episodes.
I'm pretty sure
it was 9 episodes. But this is one film. I believe it's probably 2, maybe 2.5 hours max. So it's I'm curious to see how well it does. I'm curious to see how good it looks. I'm hoping it does do well. Now, hearing this story, I'm hoping it does do well, because also what will happen is, yes, they'll get paid in some capacity for that bonus, but also it could sort of trend as far as other movies following suit. That'd be great,
I think this is going to also be good PR for him. I think a lot of, even outside of like regular consumers, I think a lot of people within the Actors Guild or within the union for the criminal, they're going to promote this film because they're going to, if this does well, this is going to serve as an example for people when they go to lobby for other projects. Like, hey, they did this, they made this amount of money, these are the numbers for it. So it's within their best interest to like really push this project really hard, at least people within Hollywood, which makes me curious as to if there's going to be any kind of shady stuff around trying to poo-poo it. But it's Netflix, so I mean, there's not too much that other studios can do to fuck with that. But I don't know. I'm curious. Go ahead.
I mean, Netflix sometimes, they kind of bury some of their movies. They are promoting this movie. I've seen numerous billboards in Hollywood and everything else, even with this article that you read, Dev, and on TikTok or whatnot. They are at least promoting the movie. So they're not trying to, unlike the other projects they have sometimes in Netflix, they're definitely not trying to bury it. So hopefully it is good.
Yeah. Plus they need another hit now. With Stranger Things ending, they don't really have a really big ongoing series that's doing well. I mean, You was probably, I don't think You's finished yet, but the hype.
Yeah, that was done.
Is that done now?
Very done.
I didn't watch the last season. So outside of that, they don't really have anything else ongoing that's like going to garner everybody's attention for real. So they need like another either franchise or show like the pop for the dick and milk, like for a decade, like they were with Stranger Things.
I think there's a good chance that Lanterns ends up being on Netflix by the time that drops.
Oh yeah,
we'll see. Well, maybe. Because it's kind of late in that process, isn't it? Because like the it's about to come out pretty soon. Like they've already done
that's August,
filming.
I believe.
Is it August?
If I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was like I thought it was like Marchish. I gotta look at the date for that again. But I know it's like that movie's done. They're really just like starting to get ready for promo. Yeah. My bad. The show. They're like in the process of like marketing and getting this stuff up together now, from what I've heard. I can see it though. I'm always surprised, especially with the news around. I'm pretty sure that was it Congress. I can't remember, or I think it was the Supreme Court. Like they threw out Paramount's their case that they put up against Warner Brothers or whatever it may be. So it seems like they're kind of clearing the one way for Netflix to go ahead and acquire Warner Brothers. And then it's interesting.
They're already making like business announcements around it, like how they're planning on. I think you posted that, Charlie, having the movies run only for 45 days.
Yeah, you said, you did post that.
Yeah, the owner was talking about like he wants to. I guess he's competitive. He says we want to win the box office. So that for people that aren't aware, it was an interview with I think either the owner or the CEO of Netflix, something of the sort, talking about how he wants to ensure that films that they own in the future are going to be within theaters for the 45-day period that's been like the standard for like the last several years. And also I do know as well, like I've heard rumors around Netflix trying to get into the theater industry themselves and like making their own like Netflix branded theaters. which makes sense for them, honestly, with how they've been rolling out some of the bigger films like K-pop Demon Hunters and other stuff over the last year or so, and looking at how much success they got in theaters with that.
So you're
And
saying
honestly,
an actual, but you're saying a full blown like a Netflix theater, not
yes,
movies.
their own theaters. Yeah,
That's because that's almost that's borderline vertical integration, which I'm kind of curious if that's how legal that would be. But okay.
because it's been it's something, because I talked about it in the stream I did a while back where I was discussing how theaters were noticing how Gen Z were going to theaters so much, and that were like the ones really carrying movie theater ticket sales. So you started to notice a lot of theaters were like upgrading and innovating their theaters to be more Gen Z welcoming in regards to the type of foods they would serve, the quality of food, little amenities within the theater themselves to try to make it more appeasing for what Gen Z would want. And even so, like adding a lot more rewards points and a lot more integration into the apps in general. There's things that Gen Z interacts with more of a daily basis.
The movie going process. It's a smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, fine. I'm curious. So, what are, like you said, Gen Z foods? Like, what is a Gen Z food at a movie?
More so, like you're gonna see a lot more dining theaters. Like
that's a Gen Z thing. I mean, I'm old as hell. I love dining.
It's a relatively new thing, but
it's relatively new. But I didn't know it was okay. Yeah. I love that.
I don't know. I didn't know the details around it. I was more so looking at the numbers around it. Because even again, I know with me, when I was living by at my old job and I lived directly next door to a dine-in theater, nigga, the money I was spending every time I would go there and watch everything in theaters because I had the fucking pass where I could watch a free movie a day. I was legit like every day of the week going to see something and say to myself, I ain't gonna buy no food. My dumb ass. Buffalo chicken pizza,
of course.
mac and cheese, bacon, mac and cheese. Fucking quesadillas with bruh. I probably put on like a smooth 30 pounds when I was working there for years. I was there every day buying food. They had milkshakes, it was crazy. Full bottles of wine for date nights and shit.
Yeah,
so yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot more theaters like that versus like regular popcorn or a hot dog. Like concession stand stuff will probably be a thing of the past, or at the bare minimum, the quality of that concession stand stuff is gonna be a thing to where theaters are gonna they're gonna look to invest into higher qualities of food. These theaters going forward.
You know what? Would be cool. I mean, that makes sense. If you're talking about Gen Z or what have you, if the theaters do, like they had out here, there was some theater called ArcLight, and I'm sure y'all have heard of Alamo. There's Alamo on the East Coast. But as far as like that used to be ours. Like our friend of the show, Ari and I used to go every weekend to Alamo. We used to prefer to go to Alamo above all else. And that's the thing, if the theaters have the ability where you go, you buy your tickets, and just sit in a nice luxurious seat, have food brought to you and it's of decent quality, shit. That's the dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, theaters would get more. You're incentivizing people to come out to a theater, have a better experience. You know what I mean?
I think that kind of goes into the movie because we talked about it a lot in regards to like it's part of why we're then and now, like the generational gap. Because I know you talked about how like you're kind of like not set in your ways, but you have your things in regards to what you're comfortable with and what you want to go do. I think a lot of people that are maybe a little bit older are kind of just cool with how the theater experience was. They didn't really like feel the need to push for newer shit. But with Gen Z, it's like, all right, we got to add these amenities to keep them here. Because if not, they'll go find some other shit to do. And we mentioned in that stream as well, like how much community is built around theaters. Like literally, they'll start conversation. And like, I remember me in like high school, we would go see a brand new MCU movie and then go next door to the pizza place and talk about that movie for like 3 to 4 hours before we did anything else. So it just provides all this conversation and community around it. And then again, if you like me and you're a sicko, you'll go see multiple movies in that same day. Like I'll just go back and get tickets for other shit. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm okay.
It's wild hearing you say when I was in high school going to see an MCU movie. I was like,
yeah,
I was woo. I was not in high school.
Nigga, when.
But I was doing something else. A little fun thing too was how I was talking to somebody else, and we're talking about how we saw because we both saw the Dark Knight in theaters opening night. It was awesome. And one, we both saw the midnight showings, which they don't do anymore because it's just not safe after the shootings. And then two, the theater there were no assigned seats, so we both waited in line a long time, make sure we got a decent seat in the theater. So there's differences as far as like how different things are now. They're not the same way.
Oh yeah, shit is assigned like fuck right now. You know? So. I feel bougie now because if I go to my theater and I got my seat and I see sometimes I see like a couple, like a group of kids, like, hey, move your ass. Yeah. I got this seat for a reason. Move your ass on. I will turn into a full Karen about my seat now. I don't give a fuck.
Full Karen, go full Karen. Yeah.
But with Netflix, I think consider exploring like actually having their own theaters. I wonder like what type of experience it will be. Like we'd be able to like pick movies that they're on their streaming site and just like go to it and have your own private theater, kind of like karaoke style in Japan. Like you just have your own private room and just watch.
That'd be yo.
Probably, and
I
it
would-
works too.
I
'Cause I
would-
think you could have like full merit. Like, let's say it's like a 2 hour showing of like Superman. I think they just put not Superman, it was like Smallville on Netflix now in full, right? Superman, the next next Supergirl movie comes out, they say, hey, we're gonna do a full marathon of Smallville, and you can watch the entire show or this entire season in this block this day, whatever it may be. Because that is something I've noticed in a lot more theaters, even since I started going like 2 or 3 years ago, where theaters are starting to have a lot more theme nights where they'll show a lot more older films and like legendary films in cinema. And they'll show those, which honestly probably saves them a lot of money in regards to like buying those movies and getting the rights to them because they're older films, and they'll just keep raking cash. Because again, if it's a younger generation, they haven't seen them before, and then we're kind of in the era of like, it's interesting where a lot of younger people are starting to buy like older cameras and older things because they want to kind of revisit those trends and stuff. You're starting to see that be a thing now where they can just package everything as retro and trendy and just give younger people it because they haven't seen it before. This is their first time experiencing it.
Yeah. They call it like new age nostalgia because obviously younger audiences haven't seen, like, for example, even with like Back to the Future, they saw Back to the Future at the Alamo, and Ari and I hadn't, we were too young to see Back to the Future when it was in theaters. So when the Alamo showed Back to the Future, we went and saw it just to experience what it'd be like on the big screen. So yeah, they do that a lot at Alamos and other. I know we're putting Alamo a lot, but it's as far as theaters that do have, a more luxury, a kind of a better experience that do show older movies or what have you. I get it. I get it.
Brother, I went to a showing for the Maltese Falcon, and that shit was packed.
The Maltese Falcon. What is that?
That is older.
It's essentially like from the class I went to when we were discussing it. It's like one of the first, if not the most influential film in like the detective noir. Where the whole movie is basically around this Maltese Falcon, which is this golden like bird that was stolen, and this detective is like going through the whole film trying to find it. It's like the quintessential detective noir.
Yeah, it's Humphrey Bogart. It's the age old, like maybe the most iconic MacGuffin in film and everything. Yeah, it's
You'll see a lot of this. If you watch it, you'll notice a lot of like different shots or scenes in the movie that you've seen that like taken directly from that movie.
Yeah, a lot of tropes are from that movie. Yeah, we started.
It's one of those like that, Dancing in the Rain, like a lot of those old black and white films that were like really big instrumental films. Well, you probably don't like Dancing in the Rain. I think it's a musical, but you may fuck with the Maltese Falcon.
That was Gene Kelly in his prime. That was good.
You already know I just don't like musicals though.
Oh yeah, it's true.
I mean, I like animated musicals, but we're not getting
one?
into this argument again.
Which animated musical did you fuck with? Which one?
I mean, a lot of them. I mean, of course,
K-pop
like
Demon
Lion
Hunters?
King. K-pop Demon Hunter was solid. I enjoyed it.
It's solid.
Do I think that it's good enough to beat out Sinners in any aspect of the Golden Globes?
I mean, no.
Not. But
no.
It's definitely enjoyable. Honestly, I'll take K-pop Demon Hunters over like several of the latest Disney movies that come out. Honestly,
Agreed. Actually, you know what? So this year is because it wasn't. They haven't done Oscars, right? I know we're all way off topic. Who cares? So this K-pop Demon Hunters will probably be nominated. I'm guessing it has to be nominated
For like music more than likely. They give it nominated for like musical score, which I'm cool with. Honestly, if they beat Sinners up for like musical score, I'd understand why. Because the music for that film like took over the fucking world for a little bit, where everybody was singing the shit. So I understand that.
Yeah, it just got an
I
award
wouldn't
for
be too mad
gold.
at that.
That song, yeah, it's got an award for gold.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as the whole animated movie too, because like last year, I'm not sure if they won't do Chainsaw Man. They might do Demon Slayer. They might do K-pop Demon Hunter as far as nominated. But one thing that would
I'd be curious to know like how it beats out Neja or Neja 2. Because we looked at like the numbers for those movies were like insane, but I don't know how much credit they're going to give to it because it's a Chinese-based film.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. The ones that people actually like and care about. Like what I'm trying to think, what big Disney Zootopia 2 maybe. I guess I mean a lot of money.
Right.
Zootopia 2,
which I actually still haven't seen actually, and I meant to because I enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, I like the first one too. I know it made like $500 million off its first opening weekend, so it's still making bank. But I'm wondering what other movies.
I need to go back and see what the nominations are. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other like closing sentiments on that topic before we move on that you guys want to get off?
I mean, yeah. Again, kudos, like you said, to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon for trying to do this. Obviously, something like this wouldn't happen with their pull. They're big enough names and powerhouses. They can do that. I'm sure Stephen Young and Taylor probably helped out with this as well, but it requires top tiers to do something like this. Make something like this happen. Like you said too, Dev. Even if their bonus is only like $500, $200, whatever it is,
it's more than we're getting before.
All like working on a film is literally project to project. For the under the people below the line, they may have work for 3 months and not have work for another 3 to 6 months. So it's every dollar does count.
Yeah, honestly, it helps out. Like, let's say I spent 12-hour days on set for like 3 months, 4 months, however long it takes to make that film. And now I got to make all that money I made stretch for however many months until I get another gig. And you're telling me halfway through that, I get another check because the movie that I made did well, so not pay for my rent or whatever it may be. Then especially if it's like doing really well, now it's a bigger check. Like, it's things like that go to making the country in the image that we'd hoped it would be before this current Nazi regime took over. But that's a whole different conversation for a different day.
Drop that M-bomb. Drop the M-bomb, yeah.
Speaking of Nazi regimes, though, next topic is one that I really was irritated by. It's something that I was educated on a year or two ago watching, shout out to my guy Blur Without Fear. Ernie did a video on it, breaking things down in detail. And I was like, interesting. I never knew that, because I always proceed with preconceived information I heard growing up. When I got the information, I took in the information, did my own research, and saw, okay, that is true. And what that information is the whole idea that Professor X and Magnus Cranium Head Magneto were created and based off of the ideals of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Brother Malcolm X. For people that are not aware, that is incorrect. A lot of people that I've learned from making posts around this in different Facebook groups and on threads and doing a whole stream about it, there are a lot of people that saw an interview or believe they saw an interview that Stan Lee did where he discussed that inspiration being true, or that's what he was based those characters off of. But when you do simple Google searches and look at the timeline of events of what happened and look at context and have some form of media literacy, you'll understand that he was fucking lying. I want people to understand Stan Lee, in a lot of other instances, is a liar. Not saying he's a bad person, but he's also he's a showman at the end of the day. He knows what lies to tell to make his products and himself look like they are bigger than life. And for the most part, he was bigger than life for a lot of comic book fans. Like, there's a reason he was cameoing in fucking every Marvel movie for a damn near 25 plus years in some form or fashion. It became a whole thing because people like seeing him. He's the mascot. He's this mythical creature. But in this particular instance, I'll give a little bit of background research, and I'll pass it on to you guys to get your thoughts as well. But for the X-Men came out, and I believe 1963 was the exact year. Again, amidst the civil rights movement at that point in time. I need people to understand at this point in time in America, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X were perceived as menaces to society. They were perceived as communists. They were perceived as terrorists to an extent, depending on where you were in a part of the country. So people want you to believe that this white man who was starting this up-and-coming comic book company, which is already a medium that is perceived to be mostly for children at that point in time, you're telling me that he's going to create characters with ideals based off of who the country believed were Nazis at this point, the people that are more than likely going to purchase your book, you want me to believe you made characters based off of them at that point in time? Cool. Let's say I believe that bullshit. Stan Lee only wrote and created 19 to 20 issues of the original X-Men at that point. After that, he himself discussed how he left the X-Men books because he could not keep up with writing all those characters and the other projects he was writing at the same time. I think it was like Spider-Man or the Hulk at that point. So he then passed that off to somebody else. The X-Men then go on to get written by other people, and they didn't really pop off till probably the mid-70s, which is around 75 when like Wolverine was introduced to the team, and then really became a household name around the 80s when you get X Storm and Chris Claremont taking over the writing for it, and he soap opera-fied the entire team and the entire stories that he was telling there. And then not too long after that, you see the animated series pop off, and then the X-Men went into a different stratosphere after that, obviously. Chris Claremont was the one who developed the idea of Magneto being a Jewish child who went through the Holocaust, as well as all the other prejudicial, well, for like that's probably not even a word, but the things that regards to prejudice and racism and things like that within the mutant community. I have an interview here that he did, Chris Claremont himself did, where he was discussing the idea of who these characters are based off of, right? The interview he did with Empire a long time ago. Because they pretty much asked him about the direct comparison. And he himself discussed how he could see the validity in people's comparisons of that. He's like, in what he wrote, he could see where people would get that from. But he himself also discussed how He did not do that because he believed it would be presumptuous in his own perspective to make an equivalent analogy because he is a white man, first and foremost, and he's also not American. He's an English man. He based both of those characters in Magneto and Charles Xavier off of two significant Jewish, I'm going to say creators, two Jewish people within world history, one of which was a prime minister, I believe, at one point, and the other was somebody that was believed to be a terrorist at a different point in time. These are who he based these characters off of. He himself has said that in multiple occasions. So again, I want to, provide the context. MLK and Malcolm X are looked at as terrorists during the time that the X-Men were created. They didn't become popularized until the 80s for the most part, when Chris Claremont took over. Chris Claremont, the writer and creator of this backstory, said himself he did not base these characters off of that. Yet somehow, over time, for whatever reason, Stan Lee wouldn't lie at a certain point and like propped it up to be a popular narrative because people continued to ask him about that. And he just wouldn't either wouldn't say no, he would like endorse the shit. And people took that and people just believed that to be fact for years up until this point. And it blows my mind because in the comment section for a lot of these posts, and I think I know Otis probably saw a bunch of them because the posts went fucking crazy in the Facebook groups. I'm seeing grown individuals who are probably at bare minimum like 30 to 30 and up, looking at an interview that I showed them directly of Chris Claremont saying this, and they're still just in their mind, do your research. Stan Lee said it, so it has to be true. Nigga, my brother, you are grown. How the fuck can you not take in information? It's a simple, I did one Google search to find this fucking interview. I didn't have to dig deep for it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I want to get y'all's thoughts and perspectives. It seems like there's this like dilemma within the Black nerd community that we have to where if we see any group within media that seems to be oppressed or going through any form of segregation or just overall like hate crime, we attach to them and like make them black coded even when they're not, i.e. the Uchihas, i.e. the Namekians. The list goes on and on and on. Yeah. I don't know what I mean. I know what it is because again, you want that. We thirst for representation and wherever we can get it. But at the same time, let's not force it into areas where it wasn't even a thing at. But what are your thoughts? That was me. I had a longer breakdown of my own stream, but at this point, it's like the third time I've talked about it, so I didn't want to like drag it out for another hour.
You want to go first, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think that first off, to say that they are, Professor X and Magneto are directly based off of Xavier and Malcolm X would be belittling to who they were as people and what they actually stood for. I mean, of course, they like very foremost, looking for civil rights for Black people, but that was just kind of like the starting point. They were looking for actual equity, looking for like support to make sure that Black people have the ability to build like comfortable lives, have jobs, and like literally same things that we're fighting for today, like were the big staples of what they were trying to build. And the fact that even in the history books it's reduced to just like oh yeah, Black people can go outside without being immediately murdered on the street. I mean, like, of course we want that still, but like, just know that the mission isn't done and history paints it as like something that is. I think is a disservice to what they are. And then again, that piece was never a part of what the X-Men were. Like, I mean, of course they dysmorphic people trying to find a place to live comfortably in society without being attacked on the streets and ridiculed and have people pointing and throwing beer bottles at them on the street. Like, I mean, yes, that piece is adjacent, but I mean, that particular thing happens in so many different cultures around so many different points in history. Like, that's just, when there is a race of people that are othered, they are treated in that way. Going from the BC times to today. I mean, it's just, it is a shame that, Black people automatically like attach that to ourselves. We're used to being so oppressed that like seeing anyone going through something similar, we just kind of automatically cling and attach to. But we got to kind of get away from that to a degree, and instead of making it like look like a race thing, just understand like that's a class thing. The higher class, whoever they are looking like down on whatever the lower class is in some way, shape, or form. So understanding that and realizing like those connections are familiar, but it doesn't have to represent you specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing it's like, oh, that's another connector piece that we have to so many different societies around the world because somebody's been the lower class to an upper class that was subjugating them in some way, shape, or form, or fashion. But yeah, just all of that around to say, like, attaching them to like two of the biggest figures in Black history is a disservice to what those figures stood for.
Yeah, I get that. And I think part of it too. So I mean, I won't reiterate the things you all both said already, but just two quick things. One, I think is a more prominent thing is the Mandela effect, as far as people misremembering something almost collectively. Like you said, there was that one random interview, as I saw you put on your other show on the Diesel, the Dojo, where there's an interview where people are kind of talking about how, yeah, it wasn't this as far as like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King comparison and everything else. And it's like, yes, that's it. And so people take that and run with it and say, oh yeah, that's what they're trying to say. They're misremembering what actually was stated or whatever was meant as truth when it never was. Another thing too is I remember when I was younger, when I was a kid, as I was reading X-Men and watching the TV show and everything else, and yeah, as a Black man in the South, I was like, oh, the mutants are clearly other, regardless as far as the specifics of it, they're other, whether they be LGBTQ plus, Black, whatever, Jewish immigrants, they're different, and they're directly bigoted against because of that. So as a Black man, I could relate to them in some capacity. And there was a figure that was trying to help them in Professor Xavier, but there was also a figure on another side that seemed a bit more militant in Magneto. However, I never connected the dots as far as saying, oh, that's directly supposed to be Malcolm X or that's directly supposed to be Martin Luther King. I didn't go that far. I just saw it as these are others trying for a better thing. And in some capacity, there is a civil rights movement that they're working towards in the X-Men. Yes, that's true. But things do, as you continue to read as you read more and more of the books, the characters get more and more problematic. I mean, Professor Xavier and Magneto get more and more problematic. There was even on the dojo they talked about how at the beginning Magneto was too rational, was too much of a borderline like hero essentially. So they had to make him that much more directly of a terrorist, which is not what Malcolm X ever was as far as trying to directly harm people. Obviously, I know it's MLK. So having the comparisons have very fine limits. They have very fine limits. But I do get, like you were saying, Dev, where and also Otis, it's a very bizarrely common thing where we do try to associate ourselves with anyone that is any people in any medium that is oppressed. We try to find everything that's coded, whether it be, like you said, Namekians or whatnot. And it is sad that we do that.
Just to add further proof, just because, again, I know there are going to be people that watch this that are going to deny that being the case. And let's just have a moment of silence for this.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
In regards to a lot of what Otis had to say, a big thing to take into account is their beliefs, right? Malcolm X for the most part, in how you discuss what his beliefs were. Again, those beliefs suddenly changed a little bit as time went on. I think near towards the end of his life, he even started to agree more with MLK and MLK with him, which is probably why I got them up out of there pretty quickly, because they're both agreeing on something and unifying.
Yeah, he was assassinated for a reason.
But they fought for rights, they fought for defense, and fought for safety of Black folks. Never, ever did they fight for superiority, domination, slavery, or genocide. Right. When you're looking at the original concepts and original points of Magneto, there is an Exhibit A that I want to show the jury. This is a panel from a comic that Magneto was in from back in the day. He says, the human race no longer deserves dominion over the planet Earth. The days of mutants is upon us. The first phase of my plan shall be to show my power to make Homo sapiens bow to Homo superior. He wants humans to bow to him. He wants superiority and control over them. Moving on to the next one. we now have panels from a plot that he had in a different book, to where he essentially brought over a mastermind to cast visions on everybody within the country of Santa Marco to make them believe that this group of insurgent troops were storming on their city so they can take it over and they can serve underneath Magneto, but he could rule them. Ethan, could you tell me what these soldiers kind of look like to you in the way that they're moving and the way that they operate? Does that look familiar to you?
Yeah, they do very much like goose-stepping Nazis. Yeah.
Otis, you're aware what Nazis are, right? You know how bad they were, aren't you?
Yeah. Were?
Are. Yeah. So again, I find it very interesting that he is conjuring up troops in his own imagination, well, at least from the imagination of Mastermind, and these troops are in the imagery of Nazi soldiers, especially when you consider the fact that Magneto in himself is a Jewish man who underwent Holocaust camps that were ran by Nazi soldiers. When we're looking at the allegory that is supposed to be there around Black people being allegories for mutants, I want everybody to keep in mind there's an entire whole like panel or a couple issue where Kitty Pryde publicly called other Black people the N-word with a hard ER, and then promptly got slapped the fuck out of by Storm later on. Because why the fuck would you do that when we're also persecuted? I want people to go do their research as well and look at the number of X-Men writers that there have ever been from 63 up until now for any mainline X-Men book. And no, I don't mean X-Force. No, I don't mean New Mutants. I mean any book that has X-Men on it, whether it be Amazing, Infamous, Unbreakable, whatever it may be. You could probably count them on one hand. So for a book that is supposed to be so deeply connected to the Black movement and the Black evolution, there are little to no Black influences within these books whatsoever until modern day. And most of those influences came from like the early 2000s on to now, maybe the mid 2000s up until this point, where you had writers that were more accepting of Black folks and other people that wrote those books at that point in time. You're starting to see it a lot more now recently with someone like Gail Simone, who's an amazing writer who makes it a point to have a lot of representation within his books. And you start to see a lot more New Mutants that are of different colors and heritages and et cetera, et cetera. Even going into the aspect of Black people being within the X-Men. The only Black X-Men and the people that were in the mainline team, to my knowledge, were one Bishop, and Bishop being half Black, half Native American, and then Storm almost 20 years after the team was first created. That's just some information there for people that, want to look that stuff up. They need factual stuff. But let's continue to talk about facts. I discussed the beliefs of Magneto and how that compared to Malcolm X and how crazy that was. Let's talk about Charles. And I think people have a certain preconceived idea of who Charles Xavier is based off of the 2000s movies. People, if you read the comics to any extent, I want you to understand that Charles Xavier is a horrible individual, like a shitty person to the extreme. There is a reason that Cyclops cold murdered him in front of everybody. Someone that is considered to be like his father figure in a lot of different ways. Murdered him because he hated the way he operated. The X-Men team you're introduced to in 63, we find out later on in the run, it was not the original X-Men team. We find out that Charles Xavier had an initial team that was involving another character that's related to Cyclops by the name of Havoc, his brother. That team was lost on some mission on some random island, and instead of Xavier trying to find them, instead of Xavier taking accountability for that and stopping the continuation of a paramilitary force made from child soldiers, he said, I will replace them. And not only will I replace them, I want to replace them and have the leader be the little brother of the other nigga that I had leading the last team. Beyond him being a purveyor of child soldiers and paramilitary forces, he was also a weird nigga that needed to not be around children because he had this weird love interest for Jean Grey. And everybody, I want you to keep in mind, this isn't new things that were made around the character. These were things that were around the character when he was first created. He had this love affair that he had, his love boner that he had for Jean Grey. It wasn't just Cyclops and Wolverine that wanted her. That nigga Charles wanted her too. He wanted some Jean. Outside of him creating child soldier teams and sacrificing to go fight his battles for himself, because again, I want you to understand that MLK would never bring on other people to fight his battles for him. He was in the streets. He was actively a part of the movement, whether it be the bus boycotts, the marches on Washington, whatever it may be. He was there on the front lines. He didn't send other people, let alone children, to fight his battles for him. And as far as we know, he wasn't involved in anything weird around children. Not putting it out there, but I don't know people at all. I can only go off of what was directly seen. There's a lot of fucked up shit around Charles Xavier and a lot of fucked up shit around Magneto. So the fact that you're going to compare them and say you base these characters who are incredibly horrible, despicable human beings really just shows a little bit of disrespect in my eyes if you're going to make that be a thing. I wholeheartedly believe that, similar to J.K. Rowling, when Stan Lee made this story, he made them based on very simple concepts of good guys versus bad guys. And he wanted that to be that. And he left it at that. So all the revisionist history of involving like these metaphors for civil rights and for people being underrepresented and people being persecuted, that shit was not around until Chris Claremont wrote it. And this is all Stan Lee trying to take credit for work that he did not do. He's putting his name on the group project, even though he didn't directly work on all of it.
Side note, I mean, we know that Voldemort is essentially a school shooter with extra steps. Is Magneto also that?
I wouldn't say so because I don't think he ever attended the same school. Well,
I mean,
later on when he was running
X-Men.
X-Men.
The school, though.
Yeah. But that one, you just call that nigga a contractor. He's just a construction worker with extra steps. Or with fewer steps. My bad. It's interesting. Again, I understand that a lot more layers and things were added to these characters later on. But again, key emphasis on later on with other writers that added more layers to these characters.
Yeah,
and I don't know. It's just something that's really nasty to me when I'm looking at them and doing more research into who the beliefs of these people were, and especially as I'm becoming a little bit more, I'll say a little more radical in my beliefs around like pro-blackness and being more protective over my culture, especially working where I work. When I see things like this and I have knowledge on who these characters are, I'm like, no, stop. Let's not bullshit here. Let's not do this.
I think part of it too is you mentioned before the movies with the 2000s, whatever the Bryan Singer movies, which is another whole problem right there. But those movies, the way they do portray Charles and Eric or whatever Magneto, it is very much like they're trying to portray them as much more black and white as far as I'm a hero fighting for these people, and I'm a hero fighting for my people too, but in a different way. Even that's still not the same exact parallel, but it's a closer thing. Also, it's definitely portraying Charles in a much more positive light.
Oh, he was so benevolent.
So it's like that's not at all how he's. I mean, the X-Mansion hasn't been around in the comics in forever. So it's another thing too, as far as like that's in most people haven't read the comics that much. So for them, that's how they see Xavier. That's how they see Magnus or Magneto, whatever. So it's they're drawing from a much more shallow pool as well.
Keep in mind, Magneto was enslaving mutants on Krakoa originally. Like to make Krakoa operate, he enslaved mutants and made them work. So like, you're telling me the guy's supposed to be based on Malcolm X. You're telling me that Malcolm X would be cool with enslaving black people for the betterment of black people? Yeah. Like, my nigga, stop. Let's not do that.
He left the black Muslims because of issues with how they treated people.
So yeah, that again, that's just something I wanted to kind of get into again. I know I've discussed it a bunch now, but that's just, again, a lot to think about as we go into the next phase of X-Men stuff, from Doomsday to the next season of X-Men 97 to the next phase of the shitty X-Men comics we're about to get, because right now they are in a shitty place. Revelation was not it, and Into the Shadows looking like it's going to be a repeat of that because the current X-Men editor is poo-poo. So yeah, it's not good. X-Men are not in a good place right now at all.
I'm still hopeful for X-Men season 2, X-Men 97 season 2.
Yeah, the show's dope. All the other media's gonna carry it, but the source material, like, they were good. When Gail Simone was doing her thing with the Exceptional X-Men, that was great. But then X-Men Age of Revelation started, and they just brought all that shit in there. Like the Storm run that Maway was doing, that was amazing. We're tying your shit into all this shit now. So now everything you were doing is probably gonna be put on pause so we can do this major event that was discombobulated as fuck. But yeah. I don't want to get into all that. My bad. Are there any other like thoughts, sentiments on this topic before we kind of get into the last thing?
No, and I think it is not to. I think y'all are right as far as like that's a bigger problem as far as us attaching ourselves to tragic mistreated characters so much as a people. That's another whole problem in general, I think.
And I understand it. I get it. I think there are certain characters where it works. Like if it's a character that is black coded, like somebody like Sonic, right? Like Sonic didn't really have as much like of a.
Is he black coded? Like, really?
He's black coded as fuck. Look the clothing he wears, the music you look at a lot of the references he makes within the game and the shows. Like he's black coded as fuck. all the hedgehogs.
He's
for the most
voiced
part,
by he's voiced by Jaleel White. Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Most of the hedgehog, most of the animals, like him, Knuckles, Shadows, for the most part. You could argue Tails and Rouge is. I know Rouge is based off of Jennifer Lopez, and other shit like that. But yeah,
I never thought about it. I'm too old. I'm not talk that much, but yeah.
But yeah, again, the characters are black coded. I get it. Hell, I even understand certain characters like Piccolo, right? Like the Namekians looking like this impoverished people that were taken as slave labor. Like I get it, I understand. And then robbed for the resources in the Dragon Balls. I understand where you would get that from, but even then, I would beg us to not look for them where they don't exist, and also to just also look for a representation that is purposely put there as well. With rather it be through indie comics. Again, I've had this whole thing of combating people an idea of asking you to support indie stuff, let alone just looking for stuff that's purposefully making those illusions or those allegories. So,
and also try to, if you can, if you are making your own book or you're any creator, it's okay for it to be more nuanced. You do not have to have torture porn every time a black person is in a project or in a story. It's okay for them to be a different type of character, give them a different type of journey. We love that type of stuff. It's fun. We don't always want to suffer.
Yeah. You got anything, Otis?
No, I mean, I feel like we've said it all.
Bet. Let's move into the last topic of the show. This one should be a little bit more fun. We kind of started this discussion off at the end of the last episode discussing the best anime pull-ups. I think for the most part, mine was more so based around Madara Uchiha and that whole build-up to that pull-up and how dope that was. I think Ethan discussed some of the stuff for JJK and the recent ones with Yuta. Okatsu. Is it Okatsu's his last name?
Yeah. OKKATSU. Yeah.
Okatsu.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me later on if I'm butchering it right now. But where you wanted, I know you talked about really wanted to get into like the idea and the importance of like aura and aura farming in general in media. Ethan, you want to kind of elaborate on what you were trying to say there?
Oh, sure, of course. We all. I'm sure all of us here know what aura is, or aura farming. Essentially, aura farming is just where you are able to look like such a badass that it is a part of. It's part of the charm the character has in the story. It's also part of why the character may help sell books or bring people to the IP and whatnot. It's a very important thing. And aura farming can look very different for different types of characters. Gojo, for example, going back to JDK, Gojo aura farms in a very different way than Madara does in Naruto. Or Sasuke aura farms very differently than Ichigo in Bleach. But it's important. If your characters seem if your characters have no charisma or riz, or they seem just there's nothing interesting or engaging about them, people aren't going to care about them, or they're not going to care about the actual property itself. So taking the time out to actually let your characters aura farm is important. Part of it also is that it does have power scaling, so to speak. So for example, going back to JJK for a simple example, real quick, if you have it that Toto and Yuji are battling against what's the name, Otis, Hanami,
Mm-hmm.
Hanami. For 2 episodes, whatever it is, and they are barely they're doing their best, but they can't quite clap him. And then you have Gojo pull up, and he just goes purple and blast them out in one hit. It's like, oh, we've established now that the power, how powerful someone else is based off of that. It's something they do in wrestling all the time, as far as putting somebody over. It's aura farming there too. But it's an important form of storytelling that most people don't understand how to properly do it, and how if you do it right, it means everything. It doesn't just look cool. It actually does help to tell a story too, in and of itself.
Yeah, the aura farmers are usually the fan favorites in your series. They do it so well that usually it overlooks the fact that they are there to make an enemy look really strong. So when the main character gets there, you really had to work hard to be Kakazu, because he was beating the dog shit out of Kakashi and Choji and Ino for 2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you brought up the whole analogy to WWE, and that's something I've noticed for a long time in regards to they have, again, it's very cyclical in nature in how the WWE does it, but it's done so well that people still get enamored with it and have been enamored with it for years, to where, at least for me, I think back to like the first appearance of Rey Mysterio, right? He comes in and he is like on fire. He's doing all his best moves, all the shit with ease, like fucking up his opponent in that ring. And by the end of it, now you're looking at him as this big thing. And then I fast forwarded to recently when I saw not Sin Cara. Oh my God. What's buddy's name? Cedro Miedo. I got his name will come back to me, but he's essentially like one of the bigger luchadors in the world now, and it's kind of looked at as like it's like a passing of the torch from Ray to him, because him and Ray have had bigger matches in Lucha Underground. But when he first came in as a sensation, what is he doing? He comes in against a big talent and is getting off all his signature moves and stuff that he had from Lucha Underground that his following had, and you were introducing him to a brand new audience doing all his coolest shit, and now he looks amazing in comparison, because the person he was wrestling, we already have like a pre-existing history of how good he is perception-wise based off of the audience there. And again, it's a formula that works no matter what the medium is over and over again. You have big established threat that we're familiar with and bring in new character with a cool design, doing cool shit, and now he's over. And it honestly works as like a really, really valuable device in regards to writing in particular, because you don't really even have to have them super in-depth in regards to the writing or like really fleshed out initially, because you're going off of the aesthetic and aura and like the moments. So knowing their backstory or what they stand for, none of that shit matters. Are they badass, and are they gonna do badass shit? Again, for me, my GOAT, my favorite nigga, my boy Kenpachi Zaraki, when you first see him, it's like, all right, we've established how strong Ichigo is in the shit he was doing running through the Soul Society. He runs against this threat who is literally making his fight more difficult so that he can have fun in this shit. Ichigo fighting for his life. Chad and Oda, he made fighting for their lives. He's here to have fun. And that much aura and like how fun he was, like it made me love him. And for the most part, that's mostly his character for the entire show. It's like him aura farming over and over and over again. It's for big moments, because he has some depth to him as a character they add in like later on, and it's more the later stuff. But for the most part, for the most of the time you see him, that nigga just pulls up, aura farms, and then leaves. And I love him for it. It's fun to see.
It is, and that's what it is right there. You hit the nail on the head. It is fun to see. And then one other thing I want to say too is it is a great storytelling device, because you can have it where my favorite question in storytelling is how will they beat this? How will they find a way to beat this person? So for example, Aizen, right? Aizen is a big, powerful, spoiler alert for Bleach, but he's a big, powerful, monster essentially. So it's like, how on earth can they defeat this monster? So that's what you want to see. Even in the boxing, even real life in boxing, right? In my opinion, back in the day, in his prime, the biggest oral former was Mike Tyson. He would literally come out there with old school prime Mike Tyson. He would come out there in very basic black trunks and like a black shirt. Didn't have a whole bunch of like hoopla. He was just walking right down the main aisle, and people were kind of like, "What's going on here?" He would get in the ring and literally knock dudes out in 8 seconds and then walk out. It was like that is the biggest aura farm. And he just laid dudes out immediately. Right?
I'm adaptable. My defense is impeccable. I'm a killer. I'm a god to fight the gods.
His voice was something else. But when he didn't talk, I mean, even it's still the aura. Even with his voice, he's still aura farm. Or if you go back to the old school WWE with Goldberg, where he didn't talk, he didn't do any, he had no press or everything. He just did all old school, just spear people, and that was it. But the point of all this is that if you can put up a very, very intimidating, powerful villain or bad guy in the beginning of your story, and you have your heroes where you think, how on earth can you possibly find a way to beat them? That's the age-old, that's the best way to kind of start a story off, right? Kind of get your people invested in watching your heroes go on their journey, so to speak.
I think this is where the sociological framework that I have kind of comes in, where I look at human nature, right? Even when we don't do it on purpose, we still create those storylines of like the aura farmer in our head. And I see it the most in basketball, and Otis probably can attest to this, where you'll have somebody like I think most recently somebody like Kevin Durant, right, in a playoff series, to where everybody is very aware of how good he is, who he is. He has his legacy. He's at these big moments. And we have the young buck and Anthony Edwards coming into the series, right? Someone with supreme confidence, supreme aura, and he's scoring, he's doing the shit, he's talking shit to KD. And in our minds, that's his aura farming moment. And then now after that, he's a fucking superstar, people pushing him everywhere. And the league kind of lets these like natural storylines play out, where there's always this up and coming aura farmer. Or sometimes it's a player like a Tyrese Halliburton, right? Somebody who's not as young. He's been around for a little bit, but he grows to this level of like superstar talent now, and he has his moments. And it's interesting. There's a little bit of like human nature there in regards to how that stuff plays out. And it's funny how that bleeds over into writing, and I guess how, art imitates life and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they are stories. Yeah.
if we're looking at like older anime, honestly the plot was secondary. It was the aura first. Like if we're talking about like Baki, Fist of the North Star,
It's a North Star. Nothing but aura.
like JoJo early, like all just. We're gonna be swole. We're gonna pose, and then we're gonna hit you with a cool move that you barely understand.
Yeah, They even say it over and over again. They say aura over again. So I mean, that's how you know.
What that anime is funny as fuck.
Yeah,
I used to hate JoJo's, but when I got to Stardust Crusaders, I was like, this is funny. This is fun.
Yeah, that's the real one.
Stardust Crusaders is when it actually starts. You can kind of watch that show before then.
You can start there.
Well, watch the first episode so you know who Dio is. But besides that, yeah, just skip straight to Stardust.
I watched the first season. And they were trying to do a lot of. They tried to do a lot more like lore stuff in the first season, and they overdid it in my opinion. That's why I hated the anime so much. And then when I got to the third season, I was like, oh, okay. I know what I need to know. Now we can have fun with this shit and just get absurd and just fucking play fucking Jodeci and shit. And
look at all the most beloved characters in anime, right? Rurouni Kenshin, Vash Stampede, Spike Spiegel, Goku,
but Mustang, Colonel Mustang,
Colonel, gigantic ore farmers, bro. Like I'm going to sit here and pose against an explosion in the background while like you beat up on my friends, and then I come and get the revenge kill, and you're gonna love me for it. Like, let me drop off this jacket that weighs like 400 pounds. Make this big crash in the middle of the stadium, and then I'm gonna start bouncing out of the stadium. I'm just gonna start jumping so high because like I feel so light.
This nigga Goku pulled up to the sand fight and was standing on Nappa's head, nigga.
Yeah, one punch.
He's standing on a nigga's head.
The Tim's on the baldy, bro. Like
on that nigga's cranium, on his fucking scalp.
The Tim's on the bald head. Yeah,
I'm like, gang, there's no way you standing on this nigga's head just chilling, and Nappa mad as fuck. Like, what the fuck?
I love it. I mean,
that's
also
Goku in a nutshell.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Goku or crazy, but I mean the grand Pumbaa of Aura forms is when Goku goes Super Saiyan 1. He just stands there for a long time. You've seen the episode. He's standing there for a long time, just aura farming like crazy. Frieza himself. We all know Frieza's pose. He just kind of stands with his arms like that. That's literally an aura form. That's all it is.
Ginyu Force.
The Ginyu Force. They have the whole pose they do. I mean, it's all aura farming.
Low key is the Sailor Moon transformation. Is that aura farming?
Yes,
yeah, it is 100%. Yeah, 100%. What are you talking about? 100%.
Honestly, probably aura farming to its T, because you get to see every part of the aura farm, and that's why it gets copied so much for transformations, because it's just it's like the perfect transformation, perfect aura farm. But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I guess it's a little bit kind of a POI slight thing that we're doing here, but it's interesting, and how the art imitates life and how it's done.
Oh yeah, if you do it right, it'd be awesome. And even as far as for Chainsaw Man, right? With Chainsaw Man last year, there's a part where it's not too much of a spoiler, but there's a part where Chainsaw Man is literally riding a shark creature, essentially like a horse, and there's a big pause as he does it in the movie. It's very much like, yo, look at this aura. Let's just enjoy this magical, insano aura. There's no other reason for it to be there than just to be aura. And it works. People love that type of stuff.
I don't get into this bag too often. This is usually an older thing, but nigga, wait till we get to a certain part of the anime where the manga got to. You want to talk about aura farm, nigga? Oh my god! I can't wait to see that shit animated. When it gets to that point, it's gonna be fucking godly.
I mean, there are popular series that exist currently that exist solely off of the aura. We're talking about you, Solo Middling.
about to say so. Yeah,
Solo Middling is crazy.
The whole it's literally just off the aura of Sung Jin-woo and off of his shadows.
Shameless, and it gets worse.
Sometimes I love that it's not even. Again, I guess this goes into the creativity of the writing. It's not all the same type of aura farm either, because you have the more untraditional form of it when you look at somebody like a Saitama, right? Where he has his cool moments, but it's always so anticlimactic because he's not really trying for the most part. But it's an aura farm, and it's goofy in how it's played there. You see it in some other instances. I think you see it a little bit with Goku stuff as well, where he's playing around and people are so fucking frustrated that he's not taking these things seriously. It's funny how the different types of ways you can write an aura farm. where you have again
even
was
Spider-Man throwing
I was about to
jokes
say the
out
goddamn same thing.
mid-fight.
I say the goddamn same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
100%.
dope. It's dope. I love writing, man. I love
mean,
stories.
one last thing too, of course, even as far as like Dan to Dan with your boy Okarun or Takatara, as he's transforming, getting more and more faster, used to being using the Granny Turbo Granny's powers. As you see him, even just transforming in his aura form, because you've seen him going from being a little passive nerd to being a much more assertive character. So that's also a form of aura forming too.
Yeah, agreed. It's again, I love stories. Before we get up out of here, though, do y'all have any comments, concerns, anything about this topic before we move into just like plugging stuff? I guess.
Yeah. If we're going to tie it into like actual storytelling, just be again, we always bring it back to the at least I do always bring it back to nuance. If you're gonna have a character or farm, if they're gonna be brooding, like give them a reason to brood, make them feel like a person, make it feel like a part of their personality and not just a thing that they're doing just for the sake of being looking cool on screen. Or farming is necessary, but do it like well. Don't just like Tron Ares it. Talking about you, Jared Leto.
Is there any forming in that movie at all?
Jared Leto is trying to. I had to watch it just because
really? You really?
I have this thing like Jared Leto just makes such bad movies that I have to see exactly how bad he makes it. I do think that he deserves a horror movie. Like let him be a horror movie villain because like
don't bring him over here. Don't bring him over here.
Hey, A24.
Please don't do that. Leave him where he is. Put that nigga in As the World Turns or Brave and the Bold. Like, dude, leave him out of the horror shit, please. I do not need that nigga over here. Seeing what he did, if you saw what he did as the Joker and how weird he fucking was with the cast, nigga, don't make him a serial killer or anything. Because he'd for sure catch a charge at that point. He'd be on his Ezra Miller shit. Don't do that.
That was terrible. Did y'all see? I know you saw Otis Blade Runner 2049. He's a part in that movie. There's a part where he like screams for no reason in the middle. It's like, what? This guy's terrible. Why is he in? Why is he getting cast? What happened? I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood like he can blackmail them, so they have no choice but to put him in roles. Otherwise, he will just like burn them to the ground.
He's like, he feels like Epstein files. Don't make me put him out.
He feels like this bizarro version of fucking Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, is that up to Keanu Reeves?
Keanu Reeves is crazy.
I guess be bizarro Keanu Reeves, bro.
Exactly.
Keanu Reeves from the Upside Down.
Keanu Reeves, yeah, exactly. 100%. And that's funny too. If you're talking about aura farming, Keanu Reeves is. I mean, you also the part where he was at the game of women. He aura farms all the time, but he's not really trying to be.
The guy plays Cyberpunk.
All of 80s action movies is just an aura farm. Like
basically.
The Terminator, Predator, Bloodsport.
So real quick, Dev, talking about Predator, that's a great example of aura farming that the Predator himself, the first one, does as far as you build up all these super 80s action heroes and they all get slaughtered by him. It's like they build up these unbeatable guys and they all get slaughtered by him. It's like, yeah, that's how you aura farm as far as like they're putting all of them are putting him over, the Predator over.
They're living in fear of him. Like that's like seeing. Honestly, again, last thing I'll say about it, going back to the WWE again. Sometimes you could even like just abuse the fuck out of that aura farming stick because like the Undertaker got used how many times to put somebody over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 20.
That nigga fucking Teddy Long was like, "Yeah, bro, you about to on Saturday. You're in a match in a cell with the Undertaker." Like, fuck, that's a punishment now. Whenever you wanted to fuck with you, he just put you against the Undertaker, and if you survived, you got aura. If not, it's what you thought it was gonna be. It's the Undertaker.
Yeah, but
it can also. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like it's just been a literary element for so long. Like if you can go back to like the Homeric tales of the Iliad and Troy, like it's like the entire process of Odysseus getting back home is aura farming essentially. Like they're building up these insurmountable challenges. Scylla and Charybdis. The
Medusa.
Like everything, like just to show that this character is so strong in will, so committed to his job committed to his mission of getting back home to his family, even though it still took him 20 years. And he was not like, faithful in those 20 year span. Like they're going to be real bad.
It's 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. I mean, the thing is, too, the whole basis is Poseidon is trying to trying to bitch slap Odysseus, and of course he just bitch slaps him back. But Beowulf, y'all, there's the old ass story of Beowulf, that movie that came out.
Yeah.
There's a part, even the trailers, he keeps always popping out of monsters saying, "I am Beowulf," and it's like that's horror farming. That's the whole basis. Like look at me, behold me, I am him. I'm the greatest of the greatest, full blown Cassius Clay style horror farming. So.
Amen. But yeah, that is it. To some church announcements before we ready to dismiss the congregation here. I guess we can make like the official announcement here. I think I've kind of said it in a couple different interviews. I think we kind of brought it up beforehand, but as people may know, if you're new here, you may not know. Echelon Graphic Novels is a comic book company that was created and majority owned by our friend here, Professor E himself. As of recent events, it is going to be a process now of myself and Kratos here being partial owners in the company going forward. So we've already been a team for a while now in regards to growing Echelon and trying to bring you guys more stories that are amazing in quality. But now it's like an official thing, and you guys can expect to probably see us be annoying the fuck out of you with more promotional stuff and more just informing you guys about what we have going on, because we're trying our best to make sure we're getting ourselves out there more. So if you guys want to support Echelon to any extent, please go to echelongraphicnovels.com and, check out any of the books we offer, from the stuff that Ethan's written himself, from Divine Influence of Blackmore to the Slate and Ash series, to stuff that is written by myself and my partner here, Otis, from Briarland's his own book. I think he has another one coming out. Almost like Revenant. It's Vengeful Vengeance, right? Vivid Vengeance.
Yeah.
And then obviously Reaper as well. Yeah, we have
Kickstarter.
Yeah, there's a good bit of books out. We have an Echelon at this point now, so we got a good little catalog that you guys can go check out. Regards to other appearances and things that we're doing recently, or as of today, you guys probably see this like in a day or two. Our guy Ethan, our fearless mascot, has done an interview with our friend over at Anime Inc. Art, where I gotta watch the interview myself. I was busy while you were actually doing it, so I gotta see what you was said and what you were covering. But you want to go ahead and shut that out and talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun. Lizzie is amazing. She's great. Her y'all have seen her before. Her smile is so it makes you feel happy seeing her smile. She loves to smile, and she has a great laugh too. But I had a lot of fun over there with Lizzie. Please go check it out, Anime Inc. It was a lot of fun. I gave a lot of shout outs to Otis and to Charlie there. She thinks the world of Charlie, or Captain. She just calls him Captain. I guess his Christian name. But yeah.
Otis, do you have any events or anything else that's coming out from your side of things, whether it be from Players Alliance, from the Buffalo stuff, or what you got going on?
Major developments with the Players Alliance. We're looking forward to make more action and in-person events, so be on the lookout for that through our social media. If you are looking to be more active in taking your grievances against the gaming industry and turning it into material changes, check out our Discord. Come join us, come join the conversation, and work towards actually making the game space more gamer-centric instead of more being profit-centric. For Blurred, look for the Blurred Fit stuff. That's our big initiative that we're pushing for the brand this year. So trying to be both healthier in the mind and healthier in the body. So come join the mission there, and look out for a lot of new content coming through Blurred in general. Be on the lookout for a relaunch of Briarlands issue 1. We're going to be pushing Briarlands issue 2 this year as well, and then a lot more storytelling from around the Briarverse. So be on the lookout for that. And Vivid Vengeance, we're going to try to get that out by October of this year. So let's keep pushing.
October.
We working this year. It's going to be a big year for us and for Echelon and for everything we're doing as a whole as far as endeavors go. As far as recent things, hopefully we're waiting to get our results back from our application, but we may see us at a Blurred Con this year, so be on the lookout for that. But outside of that, we're going to try to see if we can make more appearances at just different cons in different areas or whatever it may be, so you guys can kind of see our beautiful faces. But that has been it for the most part.
Tell them where your book's going to be at the shop, though.
Yeah, on echelongraphicnovels.com.
No. The shop the in-person shop in ATL is the book.
Oh yeah. I was waiting to actually go there and get pictures of everything. But if you're in the Atlanta area, Oxford Comics and Games, my favorite LCS in Atlanta, they have accepted a couple books from me from the Reaper in regards to some of the variant covers and things of that nature. So if you want to buy it in physical and you don't feel like waiting in the mail and you're in the Atlanta area, go buy Oxford Comics and Games and you'll be able to find my book there. You can either probably order it online because it'll be on their online shop, or you can go to the shop in person and pick it up from their shelf right next to any of the other books you may see there, from the Absolute stuff to whatever else Image has coming out, from like Roots of Madness, et cetera, et cetera. It'll be there. So yeah, we working this year, y'all. It's gonna be a lot of dope stuff coming from us and from our team this year. So again, if you are interested in supporting us to any extent, stay tapped into any of the things that we are doing. And that's on Kenpachi. For anybody that is looking, again, if you made it this far into the video, you probably liked the video. So I'd ask you guys to like this video and then subscribe to the channel and make sure that you have all notifications checked so you guys can be informed on whenever we drop an episode or anything else we have going on here at the Then and Now podcast. So yeah, y'all, this has been Captain Diesel, Lelouch V, and Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy. And y'all, remember, forever and always. How'd I do this shit? How do this shit by accident? I fucking muted my fucking shit.
Listening to the Then and Now podcast.
Yeah, and also, for any nigga or person or individual that comes to me again about this fucking Magneto and Xavier shit, just know.
You're supposed to be our number one. And you're playing like a bum.
We'll see y'all next time. Peace.